Hello my friends, welcome to the channel. And I took almost the same break as if I was in Hanti-Mansiysk back in at the time end of September, October for the match against Dingliren. So I took almost the same break between the match against MVL and just before the final match against Dingliren before making this video. And now we're going to see the second game. I will not stop on the first game because first game was uneventful, and after long matches that I had throughout the tournaments, I decided that I still have to keep some energy and made a draw in the first game as white. Didn't pose any problems to Ding, and that's why I'm not too much interested in that game. But in the second game, the full fight already started, and he played a brilliant game, one of the best at this World Cup, and generally it shows the level of the opponent. It shows the level of Ding in this game, and when he's in a striking form, he just performs some great games, can play some great games simply, and this is what we will see today. This performance in this game, I think, was of a very high quality, and let's see what happened in the game. So let's go to the board. Yeah. So in this game, I was playing black, and it started with Ding c4, knight f6, knight c3, e6. Later in the match, I have implemented e5. There are a lot of possible lines: c5, e5, the c6 as well, and of course, if black wants to play the king's Indian, they can go g6. But this was not the plan for this match, so I've decided to give it a try. This e6 and c5 line that we will see now. Well, it's an interesting line. Didn't work well in this game, but beside that, I didn't remember exactly my notes there, as I had to learn new line through like one of the evenings, and as well, I mean, I didn't play in a best way, but beside that, of course, I have to admit that his play was simply brilliant in this game, and it was really hard to put any kind of resistance after I made my mistake early in the opening. So okay, let's see what happened. So he went e4. This is the main series. c5. d5 is possible as well, also a huge theoretical line. e5, knight g8, knight f3, it's the main line, knight c6. And now the point is that white is going d4, sacrificing the e5 pawn, but they get the compensation by getting the two bishops and bishop pair, and some quiet, weak black squares in the black's camp. And for that, black gets one pawn, and certainly they want to sacrifice it somewhere, and now we will see how I didn't manage to do that. I've decided to play passively in this game somehow at some point, but certainly that was a mistake. And I mean, okay, let's see first, and I'll just show you what happened move by move. That's more interesting than otherwise. It's kind of a spoiler to talk about it now. So let's see what happened. C takes d4, knight takes d4, knight takes e5, knight gb5. That's the point. So knight is coming to d6. Black has to react fast as well, because bishop f4 is threatening knight e4, knight d6, and so on. So it's either a6 or f6 here, more or less transposing into the same position. So a6, knight d6 check, bishop takes d6, queen d6, f6, defending the knight, preparing knight to7, knight to5 to get rid of this queen on d6. Certainly annoying piece, and black really can't develop, and also they have problem with castling short. Also the bishop on c8 is stuck there now. So now it's interesting series that starts here. So bishop e3, knight e7, bishop b6, queen is trapped, but it's not the end. Knight f5, counter-attacking the white's queen. Queen b4. Yeah, retreating to b4, still attacking the queen on d8. So one of the possibilities is to play queen e7, but generally knight c6 is considered as a better option here. Knight c6, queen c5, queen e7. d6 is also possible, and probably black is not doing that bad there in that position. After d6, white can take on d8, just here, d6, bishop d8 takes, maybe bishop b6. They still maintain this bishop pair, but position is really playable. Let's say bishop d7, then knight d5, and so on. It's slightly worse maybe for black, but certainly playable. But queen e7 is stronger. And here he played castle long, which wasn't my main. I was more concentrating on queen takes e7, knight f7, castles d5, or something like that. Close to equality, and certainly white is again slightly better, but generally black is not doing badly here. They're fine, and the notes supported this this view, but still certainly it's a playable position, and still a lot of room for mistakes from both sides. It's just a very complicated endgame. So instead of this, of course, I mean, black in general at some point have to play d5. Otherwise, the c5 will come and knight may come to d6. And after c5, you know, the bishop on c8 will be stuck. It will be like a piece down position. So, yeah. So this is the way. But after castle long, which was not the main move that I was concentrating on, also had to take care of some other lines that he's playing. Certainly was white. It was not like the only thing I was looking this evenings, you know. So yeah, here certainly I didn't look a lot of sublines, but castle long was in my notes, and later I checked and was sure I did something wrong here because I got a very bad position very fast. Already here, the whole exhaustion maybe that came throughout this tournament was a problematic factor for me, so I was not sure how to generally you know, take the right decisions in this situation. Is not so easy as well. You want to take the decision as fast as you can, play faster to, you know, release this kind of tension that is there after so many rounds and so on. So instead of thinking here for a long time and like trying to recollect my preparation, I just moved d6 relatively fast. But instead, of course, in my preparation, it was queen takes c5. And during the game, I was kind of remembering this. But then after bishop c5, d6, which was in the notes, it's very close to equality. I saw that what's the point of this? Why not bishop a3? So am I missing something, or what's going on? And then somehow over the board, I completely forgot that there is this simple move e5. And I mean, after this knight e4, just bishop goes to e6. And black can, in general, for example, like, let's see here, after this, e5, knight e4 is bishop e6. Somehow it crossed my mind that there's g4 and all this stuff starts to annoy, you know, with all these checks and so on. But in fact, it's like simply fine for black. Black can go, for example, after g4, knight d4, then king d7, say knight d6, king d7. Somehow I got, somehow I just, I got upset about this, and so that, oh, everything is coming, so probably I'm missing the notes, they're not right, or I missed this move, or I'm just mixing up something and so on. But in fact, yeah, exactly, it was this, and then just king d7 goes there, fine. After knight takes b7, there's bishop takes g4. Black is doing okay. Otherwise, if white just takes on d6, black can take. They can play, for example, king f7, bishop f5 is also possible. Black is slightly worse again, maybe because of the bishop pair. I mean, at least black is decided, has to show here how to equalize, but certainly it's not a huge problem. I mean, it should be just fine. At least it's much better in any case than what I've played in the game. And instead of this, I went d6. I don't know, maybe in general the fact that I didn't lose I didn't lose a single game before this match, so maybe I was kind of confident, and so that I'm not losing in any positions, and even the fighting position with a pawn up may give me some chances or something like that. So after I went d6, I regretted it very fast because he just reacted great in general. I mean, he found all the best moves and kept pressuring the position. So let's see how. Queen a3. Castle short. g4. First in the sequence of great moves by white. So g4, knight h6. Rook g1. One more. Just adding up this, he could take on d6 and I can take knight g4 instead. But certainly this would be in my favor rather than his, because I mean the pieces are exchanged, so I'm not having all these problems. I was hoping for something like that, or that he will defend this pawn with some bishop e2, f3 or h3 or something. Then I will put my knight again on f7, and I had my ideas on the queen's flank that later happened in the game, but I didn't manage to play in a correct way there. Still, there were some chances to equalize or kind of complicate matters, but yeah, but rook g1 is still a very strong move. Rook g1, knight f7, and f4. I mean, once you do the f4 on the board and you show it, it's kind of easy. But during the game, somehow I saw that he will play some calm chess here, like bishop e2, rook e1 or something for a while. But already here, I thought maybe h4 is also possible. Actually, it is possible. But in general, the whole way and I mean, he was playing also fast as well here and confident because he was sure about this plan that he implemented. So let's see. I mean, this is really, really good level. So f4, bishop d7, h4. Now, my knight is simply not moving there on f7. c6 knight is also kind of... I mean, it's restricted. There are no squares. Where can you move it? Maybe later on as well I had this idea. I didn't see it during the game. I had this idea that the computer is showing. I will show you a bit later. But also, after this, what to do? I mean, I was really upset about my position because there are not so many moves simply. I'm not talking about plans. The plans where you can really know that what you are doing for next 5-7 moves. Here it's not the case. I mean, you should react with some, direct play or something, because it's very, very passive for black. Somewhere maybe rook e1, knight d5. I was also very afraid of the bishop d3, queen b3, queen c2 and things like this. And yeah, I was kind of upset here because there are simply not so many moves, and the white's plan is more or less clear with this g5 now. d6 is hanging, so always when I move my knight, I will at least get this queen takes d6. So what to do here? But there was kind of play here. So one of the plan that was possible here, I didn't see it at all, but computer insists that this is kind of playable. So rook ac8 was one of the possibilities. So for example, if white goes king b1, let's say, then black can try an interesting regrouping maneuver, and possibly it's this, knight b8. Possibly this is the idea of rook ac8, to have this rook in play after the knight goes to b8. Otherwise, if it's the other rook, like I will show you later, yeah, then this knight b8 would be very strange with this rook on c8 and a8. I mean, yeah, I'm sure it's bad. So here, let's say knight b8. Then some bishop c6, knight d7. Black is regrouping. Bishop may have to move somewhere to e3 or f2 or whatever. Then b5 may come. So some counterplay as well. Knight to c5 somewhere. I mean, at least it's kind of playable position. Knight is also defending on f6 and so on. So can be an important piece in the defense. So this would be a great plan, actually. I mean, in a practical game, This would be an interesting plan. Rook ac8, knight b8, bishop c6, knight d7. Didn't cross my mind at all. And instead, after this, I had a great idea to attack my opponent. Yeah. So I decided to play a5. Yeah, I decided to play a5, g5, king h8. And now I think practically again a very strong move. He's not giving me any ideas to attack. I mean, any weakness on the queen's flank, sorry, where his king is now. So I mean, he's not going b3 like one of the suggestions of the computer or something else, but he's going the most practical move. He went it also. I think not. He didn't think for long here. He went queen b3. So probably he was afraid of some a4 at some point, where I can try to make his queen uncomfortable there on a3. It can never come into play, because you always want to bring it here, play this, attack h7 or g6 and so on. So instead, he went queen b3 instead of this b3 and so on. So he went queen b3, and now it's hard. I mean, my idea and my intention of a5 was to bring my rook f to c8, play knight before, play maybe after this, play maybe f takes g5 and d5, or maybe somewhere d5 and so on. But in fact, after few strong moves by white, this comes to an end very quickly. Instead, after queen b3, the best move was the kind of paradoxical move for black, I would say, is rook ac8. Because, I mean, in combination with a5, this rook c8 wasn't my intention at all. So I wanted to bring the second rook, try this a4, a3, knight b4, and all that tricks on the flank, which I consider it tricks at the time, which are clear not the tricks. They're simply useless move. I mean, useless moves. So yeah, this rook ac8 was much stronger here. And actually, it only works probably because white's queen is now on b3, and I'm threatening some kind of d5s, because my there is no pin on a3, 7. For example, if I go something like d5 somewhere here, of course there is a pin on the a3 f8, so it's not possible. And after this rook ac8, I've tried to put some pressure on black's position, but it's not so easy. But for example, one of the moves that is possible, I mean, already after bishop e3, let's say, I'm going d5, always threatening this d4, attacking c4. Now my idea is maybe at some point may work with a4 and so on. And yeah, and after some queen b6, I may exchange some pieces with this, giving the pawn back. Queen takes d4, for example, and bishop c6. And I still have some chances to defend this position. It's not a huge advantage for white, slightly better, but not much at all. And there are chances for black to save this by playing some other good moves, Still, they have plenty of work to do to completely equalize the position, but I mean, there are decent chances. They have decent chances to do so. But after this, maybe rook e1 is possible to try and threat knight d5. Say after rook e1, black can go e5 or maybe d5 as well. And after c takes d5, there is a4. After, say, knight takes d5, there is queen d6. a4 is in the air, knight b4 is in the air. Black is doing okay. Actually very okay. They're just completely fine, not worse. Instead of this, after d5, let's say, if there is kind of c takes d5, a4, important move, queen a4, knight b4. I mean, still it's not great, but it's much better than in the game for sure. And computer even says that it's not far from equality, this one. So chances. Certainly easier to play as white. They can go king b1, sacrifice f4. King is of course not feeling comfortable here compared to white's king. As you can see, there are simply no threats to white's king. So after this, then b7 is hanging somewhere, and so on. It's unpleasant, but it's still playable. Black has some chances to defend this. Also, instead of d5, maybe without a need, maybe they can go e5. Let's say try e5 here. Knight d5, queen e6, gf, some bishop g2, then maybe knight h6. Knight may come to d4. Well, it's yeah, it's defendable. I think it's kind of resistance. Certainly not easy to break compared to the game where I got all my pieces just stuck on the wrong squares without any counterplay. Yeah, but I didn't see the moves he was making. So after he made an each move here, after I played some rook f8 instead of rook ac8, I somehow with each move I was realizing that I'm doing something wrong and wrong and wrong, and it was getting really bad. And just I know I lost my calm and was like um, kind of desperate at some point. Just made some moves and later resigned. But again, his reactions even after those moves were just great, just perfect. So let's see what happened. Yeah, I'm regretting of not playing this, but okay, I didn't see this, and of course I was going for my plan, and so it's a plan, but a very very wrong one. So rook fc8. He just calmly. Of course, I mean I was hoping on d5, a4. I was sure that already something is going on there on the flank. d5, a4 was in my dreams. Was night before a3 and all that stuff. But yeah, but he goes for king b1. Just prophylactical move. Here I was already desperate. I mean, I remember I took some time here. I was not sure what to do. I couldn't see what I can do after a4. For example, after a4, which was probably practically the best way for me to play here, a4. Because, for example, if it's queen c2, black can go some, still worse, but they can go some a3, then maybe some d5, trying to complicate matters. A bad position, but kind of tricky play. Not as bad as in the game. So after a4, I was not sure what I'm doing after queen a3. Was calculating knight a5. Then it's c5, one of the possible. Yeah, I think c5 is simply the best. c5, let's say d5. Because after d takes c5, maybe g takes f6. Let's say here, d takes c5. gf. Then knight e4 is possible. But if you want a really strong move, it's bishop d3. Why is it so strong? Why is bishop d3 so strong? Just supporting knight e4, is it? Why not knight e4 immediately? What's the... yeah, probably after knight e4 there is bishop c6. And white can take on c5, yeah. There is bishop e4 hanging there. The knight's hanging, so they have to bring the knight here. Then maybe some knight b3, some tricks. Still, it's kind of unpleasant, but possible. But bishop d3 simply finishes all of this. It's just pre-move, I would say, kind of pre-move before knight e4. And the knight e4 is now coming with killing threats. This bishop takes c5, f6 is weak. G line, it's not looking good. Knight on a5, good luck. All these things are making the position of a position of mine in that probable way is like kind of simply lost. So yeah, this is very bad. Okay, so imagine I would play this. At least would give me some kind of miraculous chances, or whatever you call it. Some kind of hope there was still here, but Instead, the best way probably to play was f takes g5. F takes g5, let's say. I still don't like this position at all. H takes g5, e5. And then during the game, I saw that queen c2 can come simply here as a strong threat with knight d5 and g6. I was sure I'm lost here. Computer defense somehow with knight b4. Knight d5. Knight c2. Knight e7, rook e8. Knight d5. All forced. Some bishop f5 or knight b4. Knight c7, bishop f5, king c1. Okay, exchange down, but still playable for black. Yeah, maybe some kind of chances. Knight will take on e8, some bishop takes a5. But knight is coming, there are some tricks. So instead, maybe it's not the best way to play queen c2, I don't know, but queen c2 looked very strong to me. Somehow I missed that there is this kind of play with all this knight b4 and taking c2 and bishop f5, knight b4. From far, so that queen c2, then g6, and just resigns. So instead, after e5, maybe some other way. Maybe knight d5 or g6, I don't know. Also, the things like g6, knight h6 was escaping somehow. Escaping, my attention somehow here. Yeah, I was simply not great this day. But, I mean, we have to praise my opponent. He really played strong moves that made me feel this way, that, I mean, I'm having the very, very bad position by pressuring almost all the weak points in the black's position, and also restricting completely the piece movements. So it was kind of hard to play as well. So I felt here like everything is collapsing. Maybe knight d5 is the way, practical way. Bishop f5. Computer suggests that it's still playable somehow. Bishop f5, bishop d3, queen e6. Some g6 maybe. H takes. Hard to play, but still at least was playable. Some a3, like actually Dingleren was playing in the game. This is unpleasant. This is looking bad. But computer still says that it's possible to keep this position somehow by playing king g8, then some knight e7. Maybe not the end of the world. Still possible to keep this. Okay, yeah, probably. But I don't know, still looks very bad to me. Yeah, e5, maybe g6, I don't know. Then knight h6, this move. Knight h6. Trying to make this, for example, if white takes somewhere, g takes h7, it will be a kind of opponent's pawn there, but it will be a kind of a shield, against all the attacks on the h file and so on. So let's say if knight d5, just queen f8. Pretending that we're not afraid of any other threats, and we're still in the game, and rightly so. Yeah, that would be the best way to try and keep the position. But instead, I was already desperate here. I didn't like all these lines, as I said, because of this queen c2, g6, knight d5. Everything was hanging there in my mind. I was looking for some direct counterplay. I thought maybe e5, bishop f5, and knight b4 is great. And so I went e5 here, which is a crucial mistake. Knight d5, another strong move by Ding. Bishop f5, king a1, queen e6, gf, gf. And I would say another great move. At least practically it's a great move. a3. Just defending against knight b4. Just prophylaxis. Simply position of black's pieces is bad. Knight c7 is in the air. Queen g3 is always there as well after knight c7 maybe, and so on. So it's very, very hard to find a move here for black. The best way computer shows is knight b4, but then just queen f3, for example, and black's position is very bad. Also, knight takes b4, a takes b4, queen takes b4 is not the position I would dream to play against any opponent here, because the bishops are coming back. For example, after he takes f4, it's always, you have to watch out for this. All the weaknesses. I mean, only computer maybe can play this kind of position. Instead, I went rook a b8, which is not a great move, but the point is that I wanted to play rook g8, and if I would go for rook g8 immediately, then there is always knight c7 in the air. So just taking the exchange on a8. That's why I went rook a b8, but it's a sad move, and you know, yeah, it's a really miserable position for black. So rook a b8, and now he plays a great move again. Out of all the moves that I've seen here, that still was kind of chances for me, because I'm going for this next, and at least I'm still in the game, it seems. But he went bishop g2, and I understood that this is going to be harder than I thought in advance. That, you know, all the attacks are now threatening against my pieces, and the main threat that is coming up is this knight e3. So here I felt that I'm losing this game. So I went rook g8, knight e3, one more strong move, knight d4, desperado, but you know, what else? For example, after this, white can take knight f5, queen f5, and c5. It's collapsing. Rook takes g2 maybe was the best move, but you know that this is not going to end well. Then this, and even this. It's very hard for black. It's simply losing. Yeah. Okay, so it was a very sad moment for me. I was super tired, and I was losing my first game, and I felt that it's going to be a painful loss. So knight e3. I went knight d4. Bishop takes d4, e takes d4. Another right move, knight takes f5, queen f5, bishop d5. Complete domination here. Knight is very bad on f7, b7 is hanging, g line is always you know, controlled by white because of this bishop g8 controlling, I mean bishop on d5 controlling this g8 and so on. The structure, pawn structure is healthier, much healthier for white. So it's kind of like no chance to save this. I still did some moves. I mean, rook takes g1, rook takes g1, knight h6. Of course, I realized that it's almost gone here. Queen b6, queen d7, queen takes d4. I went queen e7. King a2. Queen c3 was possible, queen a7, everything wins. Black is simply not moving here much because of this g8 mate threats all the time. So I went knight f5, queen c3, b6. Defend at a5, I mean, what else? h5, rook e8, h6. One more good move. So now after, let's say, if black goes knight takes h6, it's rook e1. And you can take because of the mate on f6. If you move, it's rook takes e8 and queen f6 as well. So I went knight e3, rook e1, and I have resigned. Well, I can say that it's a very, very strong game by white, by Ding, and it was impressive considering the amount of games we went through the entire tournament, considering the level of pressure. I mean, even though that we were both qualified already at the time, but still it was the final, we had to play it and everybody wanted to win. So clearly here, I mean, he showed a great class. He showed the precision in very important moments. He never let it slip away, and certainly made a lot of precise moves to win the game flawlessly. So I was very upset after this game because I lost a game without chances. I certainly was kind of cursing myself for not remembering the notes and for not playing right in the opening phase, and then not putting much of the resistance. But in general, after I saw the game with Computer, I was trying to find some lines and so on. I just saw that, I mean, he's played a great game, and there's not much to blame me for in this one. This was just not my day, and it was certainly his day. And there was only a hope to bounce back. But we will come to this game probably tomorrow, and I'll be very happy to share the thoughts on that game. It was a very important game for me, for the entire match, and for the entire World Cup. And I think of course, it partly made me win this match and this whole tournament, and that was a great game as well. I mean, it was two this super high level games. I think this one and the next one that we're going to see, and yeah, I mean, they were kind of they were deservingly there in this final. They were right for this final, and I think they were two amazing games, this one and the next. And they've made this final exciting and, really, really fighting. And I've managed to find some things in my preparation, but I will share all this thoughts in the next video. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for being interested in all this analysis, looking the lines, looking the games, coming here to see the thoughts of the top players and generally grandmasters, very strong chess players, and on the highest level with all these emotions. Is very interesting to share it with you, and I'm sure that this and the next game you will like a lot. So hopefully, let's see all these games together, and subscribe to the channel, please. Let's grow our community. Let's become a powerful chess community together, and subscribe, hit the bell, and to get notified about all the videos that are coming out on the channel. So thank you very much again for watching, and till the next video. And the next one is going to be really exciting, so stay tuned. Bye bye, guys.